Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening, good night. And welcome to the Bilgewater Pike reveal. First things first, we got a 2-mana 1/2. That says, with Lurk, that says grant an enemy vulnerable. This card seems to be basically Hired Gun. Hired Gun is a 2-mana 2/3 that grants the strongest enemy vulnerable. Redfin Hammer Scout is a 2-mana quote unquote 3/2. 2-mana more or less 3/2. It's variable, right? So sometimes this is gonna be a 1/2, sometimes it's gonna be like a 5/2. I'm just gonna consider it, you know, for evaluation purposes, I'm just gonna consider this a 3/2 that grants whatever you want vulnerable, right? So Hired Gun doesn't let you choose, it's always the strongest unit, versus Redfin Hammer Scout just lets you target whatever and grant it vulnerable. So it's Hired Gun with upsides, I think. Hello, friend. Hello, Alias. How's it going? How is it going, Alias? Say hi to YouTube, Alias. All right. And then we've got Bloodbait, a spell, another spell. Okay, this is really important. A 1-mana burst speed spell with Lurk that says create a Snapjaw Swarm on... Wow. Create a Snapjaw Swarm on top of your deck. Okay. All right. Are we just starting? Yeah, we just started. Wow. Create a Snapjaw Swarm on top of your deck. Now this is how you guarantee Lurk. Is this better than Feral Prescience? We have to compare this to Feral Prescience. This guarantees we get Snapjaw Swarm on top of our deck. Which, you know, guarantees Lurk. No, actually no. I think it's actually not better than Feral Prescience. If I wanted to run a very cheap burst spell that guaranteed me Lurk, I think I would actually run Feral Prescience over this. This is okay. This is okay, but I think it's not better than Feral Prescience. Call the Pack is better. Call the Pack is different. Call the Pack doesn't do the same thing. I mean, Call the Pack does guarantee Lurk. Okay, actually, Call the Pack is sort of similar. Yeah, I think Call the Pack is better. This is like halfway between Call the Pack and Feral Prescience, and I think it's not as good as either. Okay. I think I'm biased. Yo, I'm biased. I thought this card was awesome because it's got a really cool art of a piranha. I'm looking at these cards, and they're all fishy. And that's like, and I like them. And that's making me look at them like they're better than they maybe are. Speaking of 0-mana spells, next up we've got the List. 0-mana slow speed. Grant an enemy vulnerable. If it's already vulnerable, the strongest ally starts a free attack challenging it. Okay, first of all, Pike is definitely going to do something with vulnerable. If it's already vulnerable, the strongest ally starts a free attack challenging it. It doesn't have Lurk. The fact that this card does not have Lurk means we probably aren't going to be able to fit it in the Lurker deck. This card probably will not make the cut in Lurk decks. It looks really good, and it's not bad because it allows you to attack on not your turn. It's a card that gives free attacks, and thus and this is sort of what we were looking for with Bilgewater. right? It allows you to attack on rounds where you don't have the attack token. And it only costs 0, and it costs 0 mana. I don't know if we can fit it. Rob, you're trolling. This card does fit Lurker. I don't know. We have to... 0 mana triggers Lurk on defense. I mean, yeah. But what are you taking out? Are you taking out Shapestone for this? You can't take out Lurkers. That's the thing about the Lurker deck, is that it's gonna be so tight. You need like 30, 32 Lurkers. You have to, in order to fit this in, you have to take out another card that doesn't have Lurk. You have Predicts? Okay, if I play, if it's round 4, and I don't have the attack token, it's not gonna work if I have to play the list and Feral Prescience just to attack. Not in that order, right? If I have to play Feral Prescience and the list just to get a free attack for 1 to 2 Lurk triggers, I'm gonna run out of cards. Unless that Predict is specifically Xerxes Caller. With a single Predict, the odds of finding Lurkers skyrockets. Yeah, but you have to predict every time. We'll have to mess around with it. All right. Rob, you're not getting it? Am I not? Am I not getting it, Johanu? What am I not getting? The point is to remove an enemy unit on defense, and maybe you'll trigger Lurk. I mean, okay. On the second point, in order to make this work, your enemy already has to be vulnerable, right? We're not playing this as a 0 mana grant an enemy vulnerable. That's not good enough, right? We should probably try to only be using this while our opponent, on enemy units that already have vulnerable. And right now, there's only like one way of doing that, and that's Redfin Hammer Scout. But, tomorrow we should be seeing Pike, and Pike will probably be giving things vulnerable. Based on the name of this card and the art of this card, I imagine Pike will be giving things vulnerable tomorrow. Yeah, we'll have to see Pike. This card might be fine. It might be good in Lurker. I mean, this card is going to be good. Probably outside of Lurker. Well, it might be okay outside of Lurker. We'll have to see. We'll have to look at Pike to see if it's actually going to be good in Lurker. All right. Moving on. Wow, these are all really cheap cards. The Redfin Hammer Scout was the most expensive card we got today. That's hilarious. Ripper's Bay. 1 mana Bilgewater Landmark. When allies attack, discard. Whoa! When allies attack, discard the top card of your deck if it doesn't have Lurk? Wait a minute. And then presumably trigger Lurk on the next one. And then the last card is just a 1 mana 1/2 with Lurk. When allies attack, discard the top card of your deck if it doesn't have Lurk. Fuck deep, let that shit die. I'm excited for Pike. Yo, same. Yo, same. Deep support? I guess it technically is deep support, isn't it? That's funny. Wait. Ripper's Bay actually technically is deep support. That's very funny. This effect happens before Lurk effect, presumably. Presumably, there'd be no other reason to word it this way. Everything else that's happened on attack has happened conveniently with Lurk. Like, Lurk happens on attack, and Rek'Sai's level up happens on attack. But Rek'Sai's level up happens last, right? If you attack with Rek'Sai, and she, like, has to Lurk 3 times to get, to 10, she still levels up at, after she gets to 10. It looks like Riot's doing some behind the scenes coding so that it makes everything line up conveniently for Lurk, which is appreciated. Thanks Riot, appreciate that. Landmark also has Lurk. Yep, Landmark also has Lurk, which helps. I'm not actually convinced. So, like, okay. So we were talking about, people have been talking a lot about how Lurker is another archetype that's like pre-built and everything in the Lurker deck is like already decided for us. I'm starting to think that's not true. And Ripper's Bay is a really interesting point on that. I think we now actually have options. I was just telling Johannu, the Lurker deck needs like 32 Lurk cards. But if you're running Ripper's Bay, you can maybe cut that down. If you want to run Ripper's Bay instead, and then go like 25 Lurkers, or 25 Lurk cards, you could actually free up a lot of space in your deck. And then maybe you don't need to rely as heavily on predicts. That's really interesting. That's really interesting. So we could actually, I think we can actually see multiple different, well, at least on day one, day 2, day 3, we'll actually see multiple different Lurker decks. I think there's going to be Lurker decks that do what we were originally imagining, which is just run 32 Lurk cards. And then we're also going to be seeing these maybe Ripper's Bay versions that run like 26, 25 Lurk cards, and they just use Ripper's Bay to up their odds. I think one of them is going to be better. I think one of those two lists is going to eventually be better. We're going to figure out what the best lineup is. Pike Renekton or Pike Renekton Rek'Sai. It's probably Pike Rek'Sai, but Pike might be that champion that can do a lot of things. Pike probably has Lurk, but like also fits a lot of other archetypes. I'd give a Ripper's Bay Irelia Pike. Oh, okay. Irelia Pike. Not Irelia Misfortune, obviously. No, that'd be silly. Irelia Pike. I'm sort of sad because it looks like another Tahm Kench Raka situation, but we shall see. We don't know that yet. We don't know that yet. People keep saying that. Wait, Irelia Nautilus Deep? Stop it, Elias. People keep saying that, but like, people talk about how like certain champions are like designed to go together, and there's no room for creativity. Like, what's the point of deck building if Riot's just gonna put out Tahm Kench Soraka? And they're just like doomed. They're just like fated to be together. But like, we didn't know that at the time. Like when Tahm Kench and Soraka came out, there was an explosion of creativity, especially around Tahm Kench. People were running Tahm Kench barriers with Lux. People were running Tahm Kench Frostbites. I still see Tahm Kench Frostbites every once in a while. You can run. And obviously you can run Tahm Kench with Soraka, but then people are also running like Soraka Dragons. I've seen Soraka Vladimir. There's still room for creativity, even in those decks that seem, those champion combos that seem unavoidable. You can still mess around with other stuff. And Riot wanted Riot kind of wanted us to make, you know, Nasus Kindred. We now know that the best way to play Nasus is Nasus Thresh, but Riot wanted it to be Nasus Kindred. So like, you never know. Maybe Pyke will come out and we'll all be like, okay, yeah, this is very clearly Rek'Sai. And then some lunatic will go, okay, but what if we tried him with Aurelion Sol? And they'll be like, genius, you know, like, you never know. You never know. Soraka Braum. Soraka Braum is another one that I forgot about. That one actually I still see every once in a while. Ripper's Bay isn't once per turn. No, it's not. Ripper's Bay is not once per turn. Ooh, that makes it better. If you can attack multiple times, like if you attack like with your normal attack and you have Ripper's Bay and it discards the top card but you still don't lurk, you can then play a Snapjaw Swarm and that'll lurk. Right? And you can then play a Snapjaw Swarm and Ripper's Bay will discard again and you can try to lurk again. That's very interesting. Pyke is going to end up being the cleanse support we never knew we needed. Sure. Like literally it might. Literally he might. We don't know. We just don't know. Guys, the list MF, I'm scared. I mean, maybe. MF decks historically have not spent very much time giving things vulnerable. They run like maybe Hired Gun, if that. The list is kind of a 0 mana situational cataclysm. Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is kind of a 0 mana situational cataclysm. Oh, I also have flavor text for all these if you want them. Eventually, Alias. Eventually we'll want that. With all those free attacks, Pyke MF? We'll have to see. We'll have to see what Pyke does before we can say anything like that. Maybe. Just want to point out that the Sharkling art is terrifying. Is it? Have they put these on Mobalytics yet? Explore new cards. Okay, we're not missing any either. Is that... Oh. Is that particularly scary? Sharkling art is amazing. I mean, it's pretty good. Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad at all. So, another thing we need to talk about is the quality of the average lurker, right? The quality, not just the quality, but like the mana cost. What is the mana cost of your average lurker? Because that affects like stuff like Rek'Sai's level up, right? When Rek'Sai levels up, she creates 3 random lurkers in your hand. And Call the Pack creates 2 random lurkers in your hand as well. And before these cards came out, the average lurker was like, you know, there was one of each. There was a 1 mana lurker, there was a 2 mana lurker, there was a 3 mana, a 5 mana, and a 6 mana. There was everything but 4. And I still don't see a 4. But now we also have a 1 and another 2. So the average lurker just got much less expensive. But we also know that there's an 8 mana lurker coming out probably tomorrow, so. One, one, two, two, three, five, six. Yeah. So right now, Rek'Sai's level up condition is actually not that impressive. Or condition. Rek'Sai's level up reward, the 3 cards specifically, is not that impressive. Because you could just get Sharkling, Hatchling, and Redfin Hammerscout, right? If you level up Rek'Sai, if you spend a bunch of cards and go down to like 2 cards in hand, and then Rek'Sai levels up and all you get is a Sharkling, and a Zersai Hatchling, and a Redfin Hammerscout, you're gonna play all 3 of those next round and you're still gonna be out of cards. Average lurker is 2. Wow, really? Average lurker is 2? Let's pull up my calculator. Let's check our math. One plus 1 plus 2 plus 2 plus 3 plus 5 plus 6 equals 20 divided by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 divided by 7. Oh, the average lurker is almost 3. It's between 2 and 3. It's almost 3. That's better. That's better. Yeah, that sounds more accurate. So it's more like, so what you're actually gonna do is Rek'Sai's gonna level up and you're gonna get like Sharkling and Zersai Hatchling and also like a Zerzareth, right? And that feels fine, right? That feels better. That feels better. Plus, we do know that there's also an 8 cost lurker, so I should honestly factor that in. So, what did we say? 20 plus 8 divided by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 divided by 8. It's 3.5. So with the 8 cost lurker, the average lurker goes to 3.5. That's better. That's better. that makes these cards a little bit more valuable. All right. So we got some lurkers. And we got literally 4 cards with lurk and a list. And we are getting to the point where you can actually make a 40 card lurker deck. We are actually getting to the point where you can run 40 cards that have lurk. If you really wanted to just guarantee it, right? If you just wanted to straight up guarantee that every time you attacked you would trigger lurk, we're getting there. We're almost there. We've 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We have currently 11 cards with lurk. And at 3 copies of a card in your deck, that's 33 lurkers. Right now you can have a maximum of 33 cards with lurk in your deck at once. Plus the 8 drop. And we know that there's an 8 cost with lurk, so that's 36. You can have, if you wanted to just max it out, you could have 36 cards with lurk in your deck right now. Does Rek'Sai need to hit a unit? I don't understand the question. 13 with Pike and 8 cost, that's 39. True. Yeah, with Pike, assuming Pike has lurk, yeah, that's 39. So you can actually run a 40 card lurker deck if you want, but I don't think that's gonna be the best deck. Yeah, I don't think 40 card lurkers is actually gonna be the best lurker deck. But you could run it. You could run it. Cool. All right. This was a cool reveal. Tomorrow's reveal will probably be cooler, but today, not bad. Not bad, not bad, not bad.